I'd like to ask you some questions about that group text chat, if I might.
Sure.
You would agree with me that on February 1st of 2022, that was 3 days after John O'Keefe passed away, correct?
Yes.
And at some point on February 1st of 2022, you were physically either at or near the Albert home at 34 Fairview in Canton, correct?
I could have been. I don't recall if I was there.
You recall watching what investigators were doing in the neighborhood on February 1st?
I do not. If you could show it to me, I could maybe reflect my memory. I do not recall that specific day.
You don't recall monitoring what troopers were doing in the
I was not
neighborhood?
monitoring anything that the troopers were doing. If I had driven down the street, dropping someone off, picking somebody up, and saw the troopers, then I saw the troopers. I was not monitoring anything.
Directing your attention to 1:34 p.m. and 27 seconds, you texted your wife, Brian Albert, and Nicole Albert, quote, "Troopers back out front, but in front of Asian house." Did you not?
If I texted that, you could show it to me.
May I approach you, Mike?
Yes.
Oh, 2-150.
No, show it to him. Don't.
I'm sorry.
Attach it?
Oh,
You-
you show it to.
Show it to
Oh,
Mr.
I'm
Miller
sorry.
and don't reference what it is.
You think this is my first try?
Thank you.
I'm showing you a document, sir, and if you look up or look at it by yourself and look up at me when you're done.
I don't use glasses, but I can't see this. So maybe I need glasses.
Um,
I'm making it out. I got it.
I do have a.
Is it a light?
No, he says he doesn't.
No, it's
wear
not. It's just dark, but I got it. What the hell? How is
If you're struggling,
I'm reading mine, right? The middle one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You take
yeah.
all your time, the time.
Yep,
you need.
I got it. Yep, I see it.
Okay. If I may just grab that
Yes.
back.
Thank you.
Having reviewed that document, is your memory refreshed?
I see that I texted what you said I texted. The
Okay.
troopers were outside of the house,
Right,
yes.
that's my question. This is a page that contains the group text that you had with Jen McCabe, Brian Albert, and Nicole Albert, correct?
Yes,
And in terms of the question that I asked you, you now acknowledge that you testified troopers back out front, but in front of Asian house, correct?
that's correct.
Mr. McCabe, what is an Asian house?
The next door neighbors to the Alberts were Asian.
So you mean that a family of Asian origin lived next door?
Yes,
They were the next door neighbors to your brother-in-law and sister-in-law?
correct. They lived, if you come out of Fairview, they lived to the right of the Alberts.
And did you know their last name was the Chungs?
I had no idea that. I've never met them. I don't know their last names. I just knew it was an Asian family next door.
And you didn't feel the need to ask their names or try to call them by their names?
I've never met them, sorry.
Objections sustained. You know what, Ms. Giannetti, let's come to sidewalk, please.
when you did tell the group chat about the troopers being at that house, nobody asked you to clarify which house you were talking about, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that. Did anyone ask you to clarify?
Nobody asked me to clarify that I recall.
In fact, Brian Albert responded with just a question right now. Do you recall that?
Yes, I think that was on the screen you just showed me.
And you responded yes, correct?
Did I get to see all the text or no?
And with the court's permission,
Yes.
I'm going to give you the previous page in case you need it.
Just give it to him.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'll just give you one, and if you need the other, just let me know.
No problem. Thank you.
And again, just look at it silently to yourself and look up at me when you're done.
So am I to assume where you said Brian Albert said right now?
Yeah, would you like to see that?
So would that be the last one and then this is the next one?
What you,
I'm just making sure.
I understand, I appreciate that. You tell me.
Okay.
If with the court's permission.
Sure.
Thank you. Yep. That's what I was just looking for.
If I may collect the document.
I didn't read the rest of it.
No, take your time, please.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You would agree with me that after you told the group in this group text that the troopers were back out front, in front of that house, Brian Albert's response was right now?
Yes.
And then you said yes, correct?
Yes.
And then Brian Albert replied, okay, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. As of the reading,
Okay. Is that how he replied?
That's what it just said. Yes.
All right. Now, at that point, you texted the group that you were trying to get a picture of what you were seeing, correct?
I didn't see that on the text.
And you don't deny that you said that in the text,
Can you
correct?
show me the text, please?
Oh, sure. Oh, did you say you didn't see it in the text?
I didn't see that,
I'm
no.
sorry. That's probably because I didn't give it to you. May I approach?
Yes. Have you shown those both to Mr. Lally?
That's the next page after this one. I'm showing you 2 pages.
Okay.
Again, read it to yourself and look up at me when you're done.
Do you have a phone with a flashlight on you?
I don't have a phone on me. If you have a flashlight, I'll be able to see it.
Do you mind? Oh,
Just
needs
dark.
it. Madam Court Reporter, Mr. Clerk. Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, much better. I got it now.
Grab that from you.
Thanks.
Having reviewed that, do you acknowledge that you texted the group that you were trying to get a picture of what you were seeing?
Yes, I said I was going to try to take a photo.
You would agree with me that you were watching what was going on, correct, on February 1st?
No, I just happened to be driving through the neighborhood at that moment.
So you happen to be driving through, and then you texted the group to tell them what you saw, correct?
Yes,
And then you didn't just keep driving up the road and leave the area, did you?
I think I did.
Well,
I don't, unless you tell me I went back, I think I did. I said I was going to try to take a picture.
right, well, that's my point.
Yeah.
You weren't, just having seen the troopers back out there at that house, in your mind, you still weren't done, correct?
I was going to take a picture to show them, oh, the troopers are outside your house.
Right, so in answer to my question, you weren't done with that scene, correct?
I think I was, because I don't know if I took a picture.
Well,
I think I went through. I mentioned I was going to try to take a picture.
That's
I don't know if I took a picture or not.
you didn't intend to be done at that point, correct?
I didn't intend to be done.
Right, because you wanted to take a picture of what was going on.
I was going to take a picture to show them that troopers were outside in front of the
Right,
house.
you wanted
Correct.
to continue to monitor what was going on, did you not?
I was not monitoring what was going on. I just happened to drive by at that moment.
May we be seen at sidebar?
Okay.
Pages that you've already reviewed, just to have you identified. If I may, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I'd just like you to take a look at them and just confirm that's what you've already seen before we took the break.
Yes, these are the ones you showed me earlier.
Thank you, sir. May I approach?
Yes.
Having reviewed those, sir, does this appear to be an accurate transcription of the sequence and the content of the group text chat within that time frame?
Yes.
I would offer that, Your Honor.
All right. The only concern I have is I don't want to give the jury something they need a flashlight to read.
Well, my next.
So can I see it?
Of course.
Why don't I see? Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bates, if you would display the first page, 21 and 50. How is your distance vision? Are you able to read what's on the screen?
I don't know why it's on blue. This is. Can I have them in front of me
Or
while
Can I have
you're
that? Thank
displaying
you.
them,
Yes.
please? Thank you very much.
And feel free to use the flashlight there.
Yes, thank you.
Here we go.
Oh, yeah, that's much better.
Much better. Okay,
Yes.
now we can all see it. With regard to your initial text exchange that we talked about, can you confirm what you texted at 1:34 and 27 seconds in the afternoon of February 1st, 2022?
Yes. Do you want me,
Yeah.
oh, troopers back out front, but in front of Agent House. Looks like more has been dug up there for at least, there or at least looks like it.
Okay. And Mr. Bates, if you go down the page, you see the responses. And who was it that responded to your notification that the troopers were back out front?
That would be Brian Albert.
Brian Albert Senior.
Yeah, yep, senior.
And his response was,
Right now.
and that was at 1:34 PM and 45 seconds?
Yes, it was.
And you took that to be a question, correct?
Yeah, asking right now, yes.
And we can move to the next one. Yes, 2151, please. We're watching this now. Yes, please. All right. And you responded to Brian by saying what to his question about right now?
I responded, yes,
And that was at 1:34 PM and 56 seconds?
yes.
You would have still been on scene at that time?
I'm not sure if I was still on scene, but I was obviously, if it was in the area, it must have been in the area, correct?
And the next exchange, Mr. Bates? And who responded to you?
Brian Albert again,
And his response was?
okay.
Do you have a memory as to whether or not Brian Albert was on scene at that time or if he was somewhere else?
I don't have a memory of where Brian was at that time.
Given the fact that you're saying troopers are out front and he's asking right now.
I'd assume he's not, I'd assume he's somewhere else, yeah.
And your response to him, or your response to the group, I should say, was what?
I had to pick up a car, so I drove through.
All right, so this is a little further than we talked about.
Oh, I know, we're getting to the next.
So take this one down, please.
I mean, just have a moment, I'm sorry. Yes, the second bubble, please, Mr. Bates, on 2152. Okay, now we're at 1:35 PM and 16 seconds, Mr. McCabe?
Yes, that's correct.
And your text to the group of you, your wife, Brian and Nicole Albert is what?
Trying to get pictures.
All right, and at this point, I've asked the next bubble be displayed, and then I'm going to skip to the bubble after that once you see it. The next bubble comes from Brian Albert?
Yes, Brian Albert.
All right, and that's at
Action.
135 and 30.
Ms. Giannetti, let him,
I'm sorry.
the screen speaks for itself.
What-
If it
what-
doesn't, then the witness can.
Of course. What time is that at?
135, 32.
All right, and his response, does that appear to be a typo?
PK, I'm assuming.
All right, the next couple after that would be 2153, please, to talk. And that is from whom?
Brian Albert.
All right, and the time there, are you able to make that out?
Does that say 135, 34 or 138, 34?
Whatever it says. If you can't see it, you can't see it. Next.
Sure, and his response was,
Okay,
does that appear to be correcting the PK?
I'd have to go back and,
Well, the previous one, you
Next,
tested.
next question.
Sure. All right, we can take that off for a minute. I'd like to just go over two more areas of these group chats with you. You would agree with me that later that same day on February 4th, the four of you, your wife, Brian Albert, Nicole Albert, discussed in that group chat the fact that Michael Proctor was talking to Kerry Roberts over the phone, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
At 3:01 and 48 seconds, you commented on the interview of Michael Proctor with Kerry Roberts, did you not?
Objection.
Sustained.
May we be seen?
Okay. Jurors, think you can have it. Thank you. So I'd like you to not leave the witness in the dark if there's something that he can have.
What I'm going to do now, sir, is to hand you 3 more pages and ask if you can identify those.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. McCabe, generally, do you recognize those,
Yeah.
sir? All right, so
I
go
just
ahead.
marching it up. Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
Okay.
Yannetti.
The pages that I've handed to you and that you now have in your possession, those are from the same group chat that you identified earlier, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And it appears to have the same sequence and content of the group chat as well?
Yes.
I would offer that one.
Over the Commonwealth's objection, again, I'm not sending anything to the jury that they can't read. So let's mark this for identification. And the substance of those, each individual one will be question by question.
Understood. So, Mr. Bates, with regard to page 2160, I'm looking for the second bubble.
Do you have an extra copy for me to follow along? No? Or Jim, was it, Mr. United, was this in the, what was marked for, you're using that? All right.
I believe we have extra copies here.
Thank you.
All right. And if it's a question by question objection, just,
May that be displayed on?
may what be displayed?
Well, I just offered that as an exhibit, and I'm asking.
And I did not take it in. I said the content on a question by question, so
yes,
it's each
yes.
bubble.
All right. You saw that at 3:01 p.m. and 48 seconds on February 1st that you texted, quote, very weird that she's been barely interviewed. The whole dead comment was just told. I was supposed to have them talk last night and forgot to tell Proctor to call her. Do you recall that?
I recall it, correct.
All right. And those were your words, correct?
Yes, they are.
And may that be displayed?
No, it's in. We may display it later, but I'd like to move this testimony along. So that's in evidence.
And then in that discussion, at 3:03 p.m. and 15 seconds, it was Brian Albert who texted, quote, hope they don't think she's making it up after the fact for some reason, end quote, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
Can you read the timestamp again?
It's
Yes,
the second
it's on
page.
page 02161.
Oh, I found it.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's in the middle. I got that timestamp correct, correct?
303:15.
Correct. And I read that accurately. Hope they don't think she's making it up after the fact.
Yes, that's correct.
And then less than a minute later at 3:05 and 32 seconds, you replied, yes, she was hardly interviewed, and I think just answered what was asked. Oh, I'm sorry, strike that whole question. I skipped his next response, which was at 3:05 and 2 seconds, where he said, but if they barely interviewed her, that's on them, correct?
That's from, from Brian. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to that exchange, you would agree with me that you were talking about Kerry Roberts being interviewed by Michael Proctor, correct?
I don't want to make an assumption. Do you have the text previous to this that shows that we're referencing Kerry?
I do, and I'll show you that only to refresh your memory.
Yeah, I don't want to assume something.
I understand. I'm going to show you one page and ask you to look at it silently to yourself.
Okay.
And I've opened the packet for the page.
Okay.
You can just look up at me when you're done.
Yeah. Again, my assumption it's Kerry based. Can I go back another page?
Feel free.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
May I approach?
Yes.
Did those previous pages refresh your memory about the context of your group chat conversation?
Yes, it did.
And certainly it was talking about Kerry Roberts being interviewed, correct?
Yes, it was.
And you were passing along information about that interview to Brian Albert, were you not?
Yes, I was letting him know that Kerry was being interviewed.
And you were telling him things that she was saying, correct? Remember you said the whole dead comment was just told?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yeah, but I-
Sustained.
All right, in any case, we're going to move on to the very last discussion that I'd like to ask you about. Earlier that day, February 1st of 2022,
Oh,
at
before.
12:50 p.m. and 37 seconds, Brian Albert texted the group, which would have again been his wife Nicole, your wife Jennifer, and you. And that text was,
Objection, Your Honor.
Okay, so I can't, which bubble on which page?
02148.
Right, on which page?
That's the page, 02148.
Okay, so I don't have
And
it.
the bubble is the second of the three bubbles.
So I don't have it.
I don't have.
I don't know what the objection's pertaining to. Jurors, I apologize that this is taking so long. You know what, Mr. Yannetti, why don't you,
This is that's for the court, Your Honor. And for the.
so you're objecting to it, so I'm not going to let you say what it is. You can show it to the witness.
Yes, will do.
Which one is this?
Second bubble on 02148. Then the third bubble on 02148. And then the first bubble on 02149. That's all I'll be asking him about.
Thank you.
All right, so I won't allow, based on the objection from the Commonwealth, the second bubble on 02148. I will allow the author of the third bubble.
It-
On page 02148.
It's, no. The second bubble on 02148,
Is not allowed into evidence.
I need to be heard on that then.
No, all right, I'll hear you at sidebar.
Court's back in session, please be seated.
Stanetti.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. McCabe, when we broke, I was just about to ask you about the last exchange here. You will agree with me that on February 1st of 2022 at 12:51 and 49 seconds, you texted the group chat to say, ask Chris to ask some questions, correct?
Yep, I'm reading it right now. Yes, that's correct.
And who was the Chris you were referring to?
That would be Chris Albert.
Brian's brother, correct?
That is correct.
And then you then texted your wife, Brian Albert, and Nicole Albert, quote, tell them the guy never went in the house, correct?
Yeah, that's part of the same text. Yes,
Mr. McCabe, who was the guy that you were referring to? Does he have a name?
that would be John O'Keefe.
When you told the group to tell them the guy never went in the house, that was you talking about how you should all get your stories straight, correct?
No,
You would agree with me that your stories are all straight in terms of the guy never went in the house, correct?
Objection.
Can you answer that?
John never went in the house. It's not a story, it's a fact.
Well, when you said, tell them the guy never went in the house, Brian Albert was on that exchange still, was he not? He was still part of the group text?
Yes, Brian is on the exchange.
And Brian Albert was the one to respond, wasn't he?
Let me switch pages here. 51.
He responded, did he not?
Yes, he did.
And then at that point, you knew Brian Albert was the oldest brother of the Albert family, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The oldest sibling in that family, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And in his response to your instructions that his younger brother, Chris, should say that John O'Keefe never went in the house, or the guy never went in the house, you would agree with me that he responded with one word, correct?
Yes, he did.
And in response to you saying the guy never went in the house, Brian Albert's response was, exactly, correct?
Yes, that's his response.
All right, we're done here.